Hello and welcome to my video on using Claude Code and Obsidian together to create an AI-assisted knowledge base. Now, I am a huge note taker. I've been taking notes for a long time. It kind of feels weird to say it, but because I feel like everybody takes notes, but I've been using it as a productivity tool for like 15, 16 years. I've gone through a bunch of different systems of note taking that, were the note taking system du jour, the GTD back then, if y'all remember it, getting things done. I think that's what it was called. And I've used so many different tools like Evernote, like Bear, like whatever else really there was, and kind of landed on this solution of using Obsidian and Claude Code. And both of these two tools are both very important in this system, and I can't really use one without the other. Now, Obsidian has a really good reputation. There's not really much to say about it. It has great plugins. Claude Code can understand some of those plugins and be able to like create stuff like queries for data view, the data view plugin, or tables that you can then use advanced tables for. And Obsidian is just plain Markdown. I have like several different vaults that I sync, and so that means that I can like view the same stuff on my phone, on my iPad, on my computer, wherever I want to or need to, and it's great. And it has a fantastic view for these things. I mean, this looks great. Being able to read Markdown this way. And Claude Code does a lot of things for me. Claude Code is like my, I want to say, user interface. Claude Code is how I use my knowledge base for like if I need to do some research, if I need to do some analysis or whatever else. And Obsidian is more like the consumption part of the knowledge base. Now I have some views on like how I want to like structure my own notes. And what's great is that with Claude Code, you're able to figure out that system for yourself. However you want to do your note taking, you can use Claude Code for that. So just as a heads up, we're gonna go through my system real quick. I'm going to show you how I use the research tools for Claude, and then we're going to start a completely new knowledge base with Claude. Now, Claude takes some time to like process things. I'm not going to be speeding it up because I'm just not going to. So there might be some waiting around, but that's kind of like what it is, and I think it's kind of important to notice it. So one thing is I set up my notes for mostly research and for like ephemeral notes that I will be archiving, notes that I will go out of date very, very fast. And I believe that's like all notes for me. Any note taking system that I've had, after a certain amount of time, I will basically have to declare like a note bankruptcy and start over. And this system is built with that in mind. I think having like a digital garden is actually, or yeah, digital garden or like the evergreen notes, I don't feel like that really exists. I see a lot of YouTubers talk about these concepts, and it sounds great on the surface, but then I don't see anybody using it for examples other than for like making a YouTube video, and I don't I don't really see that happening. There's like knowledge and things change so fast that having an evergreen note just doesn't entirely make sense to me. And even my own perspective on the notes changes. So that means I feel like I have to like have a new note. And editing existing notes, I'm not a big fan of because I like to have like the history of that note. So I'll show you what I mean. So let's go through this. So I have a image folder here. This is where Claude Code downloads any relevant images. I have an inbox folder. This is where I put my what I call the human written notes. So for example, I put in this quick note for rip grep, but I was going through the FFmpeg ASM lessons, and I put down a couple of notes here that don't really mean anything, to be honest, but I wanted to showcase this. I don't use the handwritten or the human written notes as that often, but it is an option here. And then I have a series of Claude Code commands and agents that help me process this data, and I'll show that off. We'll skip over notes real quick. I have an output folder. This is where I ask Claude Code or Gemini or whoever else to like put in an output. For example, if I want to run an analysis of my notes repository, that's where the output goes. But I have a really cool command called feed for Claude Code, and that will look at the 20 most recent notes and compile them together with like some summaries and whatever. And I call this is like my RSS feed for my own notes. I pull this up on my iPad, I pull this up on my phone, and I look at, okay, what have I been researching? Let me go read through it. And everything's linked together. And you know, because of Obsidian, you get even like previews and everything. This is great. Like this is just like my favorite feature of this, and that is how I consume majority of my notes, is by having this feed. Because I typically just need to look up stuff that I looked up in the past week or two. If I need to look up anything past that, before that, I always have Command O to find whatever file I want to, or I can ask Claude Code to find it for me. And that, again, that's like my favorite way of dealing of interacting with my notes. This is a research knowledge base that is constantly updating, and that I can update however I want to. Now, Claude Code, because of the way it works, lets you structure things however you want to. And if you're not unhappy with the structure, you just tell it a different structure and it'll move everything for you. It's fantastic for that. So then I have a research inbox, and I'll go ahead and show you an example of this one. So yeah, I'll look at that. I was looking up kid sandals for my kids. I was looking up Lord of the Rings Blu-ray denoising, revision history, music tagging, terminal user interfaces, all these different things. And I should have one for getting started with Rust. So my research inbox is essentially notes like this, stuff that I want to like look up and research, um, and learn more about. But my problem has been recently, over the past few years, is that whenever you look stuff up on Google, whenever you look stuff up on DuckDuckGo, the results are subpar. They're not very usable. You get a Reddit post from 6 years ago that's irrelevant. You get a Medium post from like 3 years ago that's irrelevant, and then you get like AI slop, which I know, ironic saying that because I use Claude Code to generate my own slop, but it's my own slop in my own way that works for me. And so whenever I want to research something, I just create a new note and I tell it to research something. So I had the getting started with Rust. How about we do getting started with Golang? Here's what I know. And this is almost like a prompt for my Claude Code setup. I have a Claude Code command for doing research. So it'll like take this note, do the research, create a note, link it correctly, save it, and do all this stuff that I needed to do, and then I can go through it. So here's an example of how I work in this space. So I'm a software engineer. I have knowledge of, let's see, we have Python, JavaScript. This is what I've worked with. A little bit of Scala. I've done some of that. I've done some Go as well, but like, and then I'll just ask it, here's what I want to know. And you can make this as comprehensive as you want to. You can create a single sentence like I did for the Rust note, where I just said, I want to learn it, and this is what I know. Or you can make it like super comprehensive. So here's what I want to know. I want to know how to setting up a new web project, basics of syntax plus gotchas, best practices, and what every new dev in Golang should know. Fantastic. Okay. So this is how I use it. I then fire up Claude in my notes repository. Like I said, I have a bunch of like commands and stuff, so I can just tell it to research, and it'll do its job in the background. So while it's doing that, because I am not skipping around, I feel like it's kind of important to see the workflow here. I'm going to go into my .claude folder. I have that in my notes folder. It doesn't show up for Obsidian. It's kind of a downer. I think there's a plugin for being able to sync hidden folders and stuff. I haven't tried it out. I haven't used it, but I can. And we're going to go ahead and look at this research command. So Claude has these commands right here, and it allows you to create commands for anything that you really want to do. Let's say that you like to I don't know, occasionally just archive all of your notes that are a month or older. So you can create a command for that. Let's say you want to have a special project set up, and you need to create a new project in that project set up. Here, let's look through that notes folder I skipped over. I have the maps and MOCs. I don't really use those, so I just archived it literally this morning. But I have this like project section where I have manga recommendations, how to do Roblox games, and a game that I want to work on, and whatever. So I can create a new command that creates a new project that links it correctly, that will do some initial research, some initial notes. It might even find notes. I can tell it to look for notes in my current notes repository and move them into this project so they're all together, whatever you want. And so that's what the command is. It's think of it like programming or bash scripting, but in natural language. You can kind of see that we will be using the research synthesizer agent. That's an agent I set up. We have this comprehensive long prompt for this command, that we wanted to leverage both Claude and Gemini, that we wanted to prioritize authoritative sources, that we wanted to like cross-link stuff and do all this stuff, and it's written down here, and Claude can do it. What's important about this is that this prompt is generated by Claude. So I typically tell Claude what I want it to do. We might even do it once, and then I tell it, create a prompt from this, or create a command from this, create an agent out of this, or whatever it is. And it'll create this comprehensive list. Then I would recommend like manually reviewing, but it does a really good job for creating prompts for itself to redo what it already did. And let's say it doesn't do it right, and the next time you run it, you're like, yeah, do some research, and you're like, hey, why are you messing up this part? You can just tell it to fix it and update all of the relevant prompts with that fix. So one thing that I did this morning, actually, again, was that Claude was having a hard time linking together images for Obsidian, because Obsidian doesn't use like the regular Markdown image reference tag. And I knew there would be an issue. Now, Claude, because tools change over time, used to be able to do this correctly, but then it started messing up. So we should have it here. Yeah, there it is. Critical. So I asked it to fix it. It fixed it, and I said, hey, I need you to update the prompts to make sure that it saves it correctly. And you can kind of see that it actually, I did this during the Rust logo, or the Rust research is when this occurred. So I had to use that as an example. But it made sure to let itself know that this is how you're supposed to link it. Don't link it any other way. And if you look through like prompt guides and prompt tips, you'll notice that it will tell you mark things as critical, do like a correct and wrong, and just be very explicit about it. Great. So Claude was able to figure that out for itself. So yeah, we have this research command. Now that in commands, I have these agents. So I have a research synthesizer. So let's say I wanted to do some research, but I don't actually want to write down this markdown file. I can just talk to Claude and tell it to use the appropriate agent, and it'll use this agent. Now, an agent is basically like a prompt. Well, everything's prompts with AI, right? So it's basically a prompt for Claude to use when it's doing some kind of research. So here you can see that it's critical for it to use Gemini CLI. It actually has a quick description of how to use the Gemini CLI. So Claude is calling into Gemini CLI and then using those results. And you might want to have these agents or personas. I feel like personas is a better way of putting it, like calling it, or what to call it. Because you will have this research synthesizer that you want to be skeptical, that you want to be comprehensive, that you want to do this and this and this and this. But for example, if you have here I have a MOC maintainer agent that I no longer use, and a maintenance specialist that I do use. I want my maintenance specialist to not be skeptical, because all it does is look through my notes. I want it to be precise. I don't want it to think outside the box. I want it to follow instructions. So you can create these like agents and personas, and hopefully I'll be able to show you here. Yeah, there you go. That Claude can pick up on and use the correct and use it correctly. So here we're gonna. One thing I want to mention is that I have all of the permissions turned on so that it asks me for every single link that it will fetch. You can turn this off so that it just like, I think people call it the YOLO mode, basically, that it just does whatever it does. But yeah, look at this. So it picked up that I'm doing research. It decided to use the research synthesizer researcher. That means that it'll prefer like documentation over secondary articles or Reddit or forums for its research. And wow, it is having a hard time here. But that's what it can do. And so, whatever you're trying to do in your notes repository, you can create a command and an agent for it, or one or the other. It doesn't really matter which way you want to do it. If you're doing programming, one thing you might want to do is have an agent that knows how to run code, right? Like you can have a node runner agent that knows how to use the node CLI. It knows what to run, where to run it. You might even ask it to, hey, I'm taking notes. Can you extract all of the code blocks and run those in Node for me? And it'll be able to do that. So whatever it is that works for you, you can make happen. One thing that it's kind of hard is people coming up with their own systems, right? What do you do? How do you structure it so that it works for you? And I think that's a great place for like being able to set up a brand new repository for notes and say, hey, make it Zettelkasten, use the Zettelkasten method. And then you notice that you don't use certain things, or you use certain things a little bit differently, or use some things more, and you're able to talk to Claude and kind of figure that out and yeah, fix things and change the flow here. Okay, so we've gone over my current repository, how I use it, what I do with it. One thing we can do is run the inbox command, and we can, while all of this is running, we can look at our demo vault, and I'll show you how to set all this up. So we'll do inbox. I have an inbox command. So all the commands that you put in here, look at this. You can even list out all the agents. You can do all these different things. I have this inbox command. It should just process that inbox how I want it to, and I'll show you how this works. Look at this. So the research synthesizer is already creating a new folder in my reference folder here for Golang, and it will try to save the note there. Now you might notice that I'm using this for software engineering. Like I said, I've even used this to look up the best like kids sandals for my kids for school. And honestly, it works a lot better than just going through Amazon and reading fake reviews, or going through Google and seeing people on Reddit argue with each other. It just kind of creates a list, and it makes it a lot more like doable to compare, like, let's say 5 different types of sandals, rather than like the million that exists, and whatever it is. Okay, we're going fast here. It's fantastic. Cool. Yeah. All right. This is the inbox processing. Look at that. It's using the inbox processor. I'm going to switch over here. Research synthesizer. We're doing so well. All right. Okay. We're going to actually wait for these, and then we're going to go ahead and start on the new setup. Yeah, with my notes structure here, I want to mention this. We have the notes folder. I had MOCs and things like that for fleeting nodes, learning paths, and all this other stuff. And I've noticed that I never went to those notes. I never checked it out. I always used my RSS feed because that's what worked way better for me. So I just got rid of it. And then I told Claude to get rid of any reference to MOCs from all of the readmes and prompts, so that it wouldn't deal with them anymore. And it doesn't. And that's great. And it just moved everything into the archive. Then I have these projects. These are like longer running research projects where it's not just a one-off note. If I wanted to really learn Go, I would just create a new project, as I call it. I have a few active ones here. Let's look at manga recommendations. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of weird, but I created a list of manga that I wanted to research for my kids to be able to read. So I went through a bunch of lists. I asked it to go through a bunch of lists to fetch you can ask it to fetch all the age ratings, and it'll figure out how to get them. And then it compiled a list for me. I selected manually from that list, and in these archived notes. And then I told it, hey, collect all of the selected manga from all the notes that I selected or that I read through, and create the selected manga collection, as you can see. So we have the Witch Hat Atelier. We see what the age rating is, the format. It's black and white because my kids wanted to read color comic books, and that's more of like manhwa, like Korean comics rather than manga. So that's important information for me. It has a status to read. I don't really care about that. I can actually just ask it to remove it. We have Little Witch Academia. Couldn't find a cover image for it. Couldn't find one here. We have Sailor Moon. Fantastic. That's fantastic for kids. really cool manga that I've never heard of in my life, but it's fantastic for kids. So I was able to do this kind of research with it, with like an active project. I have a few archive projects or completed projects. This one called Human Manual that I was kind of working on, and then I have these like reference notes. This is where like majority of my stuff goes, is these reference notes. And there's just like different folders and different things that I'm trying to learn about, or one-off research tasks, like the Rust one, getting started with Rust. Let's look at the getting started with Go. So one thing it did was actually get the formatting incorrect. So this is where we can apply this system of like back and forth with Claude. So the formatting in the front matter is incorrect. Fix it and explain what is wrong. That way that I know exactly what's wrong, but I can also tell it to update its prompt. Did I get the logo again incorrect? No, it just referenced the logo that doesn't exist, and that's okay. What are you trying to do here? I think that we don't want to have these dependencies. Okay, remove the dependencies front matter altogether. Remove that key from any prompt so that no new nodes will contain this property. I don't have the best way of communicating, but Claude just seems to understand me well enough, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully it'll work. I think it's because it's trying to like put links into the front matter, and that's just like not working correctly. So we can fix that. And I left that in there on purpose. This was something that I noticed was wrong this morning, and I figured, let me not fix it so I can show you. Cool, we got all of that fixed. We have the source generated correctly. We're in the correct category, correct tags. We have the type, the status. It has the incorrect date. That's another thing we can fix. Again, I left a bunch of mistakes in on purpose so we could go through it, but let's go look at the research. So we know where to download and install it. We want to set up our first project, initialize Go module. I actually don't remember ever seeing this when I worked on Go, because I haven't worked in Go in a long time. And it'll tell me how it's set up. Cool, dependency checksum. Wow, I didn't know that was a thing either. We have the code syntax fundamentals over here. Cool. Here also, this is like all over the place, but I like this. So I'm gonna go back actually here. You also have the date wrong. What happened and why? Please make sure to update any prompts to reference the correct date next time a node is created. Cool. So while it's doing that, we're going to go back here. We have the syntax fundamentals, variable types. This all looks correct. Yeah, fixed it. Cool. We have functions. Cool. This is how you declare functions. I actually didn't know that you could declare return values this way. Again, been out of Golang for a while, and it's at the right level for me. I already know multiple programming languages. I don't need to know what a string is. I know what a string is. And so it can just do this, and I don't need to have an explanation of what an int is. I don't need the short declaration I'm familiar with, but I'm glad that it has like a, hey, this is the long one, and this is what people actually use. This is how you can do multiple variable declarations. This is great. So I want to set up a web project with Gin. So I've used Gin before. I hope it's not pronounced Gin, but it is Gin, right? Oh, look at this. It's updating the prompt. It's updating the prompt. Cool. So now we have the prompt updated. But yeah, look at this. We have everything we need for Golang, setting up the first routes. I'm familiar with Express for Node, and this very much looks like Express for Node and how you can set it up. Okay, so you pass in the context this way. Ooh, no, I don't know what the star means. Great. So that could be another thing that I ask it. Like, hey, I read my getting started with Go. Actually, let's just do it. I read the getting started with Go note. I'm not familiar with the star syntax, e.g. C star gender context. add a new section, explaining what this does and what it means. Cool. And I just kind of communicate with Claude throughout my day, not throughout my day, but as I do this research. This is great. Like having the standard project layout, we have the error handling, and this stuff may not be. I can't believe it downloaded the mascot. That's kind of funny. This stuff might not be exactly correct, but I can recognize all the stuff that is correct. So I'll go through it, and then on the bottom, oh, this is great. I didn't even know that they would create this, like based on your background. It has all the references to it. So if I start going through it and something doesn't compile right, or I'm not sure about something, I can go to the source material. Now it added the section for the context. This is a fairly long note, so I would maybe ask it to separate it. But let's go ahead and see if we can find this. What did they call it? They're pointer syntax. Okay, pointer syntax. Okay, cool. So now I can read about the pointers and how they work and what they do. This is fairly good explanation, some examples of what it does. Hey, here it copies here we're modifying the original. Great. I'm glad to know these things. So that's my research here. Now for handwritten notes, that finally finished up. We have 2 new notes for ASM lessons and ripgrep. I don't remember if I showed these off, but we have the ASM lessons here and ripgrep. And again, found a mistake here. Hey, the original notes in inbox never got archived. Make sure to archive them and add to the relevant prompts to do so in the future when processing inbox notes. Cool. So we'll check that out, what it does. And let's do Command O. We're gonna do ASM lessons. Is this it? Assembly language? This is it? Yep. So it will, the way I set this command up is for it to do a summary of my notes and to actually preserve the original content. So this note here looks as bad as I wrote it. This is great. And then I have a summary, and in fact, it already did a bunch of research for me for some basics to learn about it. So it worked on top of my notes, and this is all stuff that you can set up. So how about we do that? Hey, I noticed you did your own research on processing inbox. I actually don't want any additional research to be done when processing my inbox notes. They should be formatted, moved, etc., but no new research. Update all relevant prompts to follow these rules. Cool. So I'll just do that for us. All right. So I think we're pretty much good here. Why don't we talk about how you can set this up for yourself? Yeah, look at this. Look at this. Only no research, no web searches, no content expansion. It is being very adamant that this is the way you're supposed to do it. Only based on your user's original content. Fantastic. And there's a memorize. I don't need to memorize it. We're already updating all these things for us. Oh, for research inbox only. What does it say here? Let's just make sure that it didn't mess something up. Yeah. Okay. So it's letting us know that there's in all of our prompts to do things correctly. We do want all of that extra stuff for the research inbox. We don't want it for the regular inbox. So whatever your flow is, again, you can customize these things however you want to. But isn't this cool? I mean, it did this, it tagged it correctly, it put it into the right folder and everything. So imagine that you can just write notes and you don't have to worry about doing that 45-minute at the end of the week post-processing of all of your notes. Where do they go? How do you tag them? How do you search them? Are all my MOCs updated? Just throw that all away and just ask Claude to do this. And some of these tags I might not be a fan of, so I can just ask it to re-tag my entire system. Like, hey, come up with a new tagging system. This is kind of useless, right? If I felt that way. So yeah, cool. Now let's go look at setting up our own system. So we're gonna go from notes to a demo vault that I already setup. And when I say setup, I mean I just created it, and I didn't want to create it separately. So the first thing we want to do, so you're creating your own note-taking system. Maybe you want to create a note-taking system that's based off of an existing system, existing method. Maybe not. That's up to you. But what I usually start with is creating a README file, because Claude can read this and be able to infer what you want. So what do I want my system to do? So what we need to do is just describe, as if you're describing to somebody else, what your note-taking system looks like. So I'll say this is a knowledge base for all of my note-taking and research. Let's say topics in this knowledge base. Let's start with something that let's start with, I don't even know what topics. Let's just do the software engineering. That's something I know well. Engineering. I also want to have photography in here, and I also want to learn about gardening and plants. We'll do format. This is going to be very rough because we're going to ask Claude Code to rewrite even the README. So we'll do format, utilize this Zettelkasten method. I think that's how it's spelled. Even if it's not, that's fine. Claude Code can figure this out. And we want to use the Zettelkasten method. Obsidian first markdown. Uses a lot of tables. Utilizes Mermaid for graphs. If you haven't checked out Mermaid is a fantastic system. Mermaid.md. Let's do this. Let's just do, yeah, there we go, Mermaid. Mermaid is markdown converted into these kinds of graphs. So this graph gets converted into this. And guess what? Claude Code can read these extremely well. All right, so we have this, and then we want to let it know that it is AI assisted. This knowledge base will be AI assisted, utilizing Claude for research and note maintenance and note organization. Cool. Now I'm gonna go ahead and fire up Claude. It'll be like, hey, can I initialize here? Yeah. Just go ahead and create your Claude.md. So it's going to read the README file. It'll create a Claude.md file that helps us do exactly what we need to do here, and kind of get us a good starting point. This might take a little while. So in the meantime, we can look at a few different things here. Yeah, let's, so I'm gonna go ahead and actually go here. This is my old system. I'm jumping back and forth because Claude just takes a while sometimes, and that's okay. I typically need this stuff async, not right away. If I needed it right away, it would work a little bit differently. But I'm gonna use my feed command here to create that RSS feed that I was talking about. And I wanna create a brand new one so you can see a few of the things that I've been researching lately. So that'll take a little while. We'll get rid of this because we already did our inbox. Oh, by the way, it does, like, Claude does cost money. So it's kind of important to realize that while you're not paying for like a subscription for Readwise or Evernote or Bear or whatever else, you will be paying for Claude Code. And some of that research will cost you like more money. But I found it to be extremely worth it. And if you kind of give yourself an amount that you're willing to pay for a subscription for a service, I would just translate that into Claude and use that money there. Okay, cool. So we have the Claude .md set up. So we have, okay, Zettelkasten approach, Obsidian compatible. So it's kind of cool. I'm gonna go ahead and ask it update the README to look nicer and be more comprehensive. So we're gonna do that so that we have a nicer README. Again, like, Claude is my user interface for this note-taking system, which is fantastic. I really like it. It'll do that update. And next, after all of this runs, again, it's kind of hard to do it in the video real time because sometimes it just takes a little bit longer. We have the Zettelkasten method. All right. And yeah, we have this. Oh, I hate emojis. That's going to be like one thing that I'm going to change here. Working with notes. What is that called? Important. Do not use emojis in file names or headings. Yeah, I really don't like it. I'm gonna do that. And we're gonna actually, yeah, that costs 37 cents. So it's, like I said, it costs money. And if you just press up, I'm gonna go ahead and try to reprocess that same note, because we realize something that we don't like about it, and we can just update it, read it. Yeah, look at this, remove emojis. It already is doing that, cool. Now, while it's doing that, you can actually fire up even more of these. I'm gonna fire up Claude, and I'll tell it, read over the README and create a folder and file structure following best practices for knowledge bases, the Zettelkasten method, etc. So I'll seed the initial notes. Seed initial notes. So I'm just gonna say that. Notes with examples on how to examples of how to use this knowledge base. So we're gonna do that. Did it update the README? Now it did. Yeah, nice. Okay. So updated the README. Now we have a more comprehensive README. Look at that. No emojis. Finally. Yay. I do not like emojis. Let's make this bigger. We're gonna have it take up half the screen. So here's the overview. It's an AI assisted knowledge base. You all saw that I wasn't that great at like writing down all the stuff, but this is. Yeah, let's go ahead and create all those folders. We have the overview. We're going to be using AI assistance for research enhancement, all this intelligent organization. That's a great way to put it. We have the knowledge domains that that we care about. We have the Zettelkasten method, formats, prerequisites. Hey, you have to have Obsidian. You have to be familiar with Markdown. Here's the setup. Look, we're using data view, tag wrangler. I've never used that, but that's a really good one. So we have these recommended plugins that we can install that Claude is going to be able to use for us. And when I say it's going to be able to use it, it doesn't connect with Obsidian, but because data view runs off of Markdown files, that's the beauty of Obsidian, right? Claude can update a data view query in a Markdown file, and Obsidian can run it against the data view plugin. That's fantastic. All right, we have the notes, how it's going to look like. We're going to have attachments, templates. There's a notes folder with all the different topics. We have the usage, creating these notes, linking strategies, AI assistance, best practices. And again, you can update all this stuff. And this is so overly comprehensive. That's kind of like what people call AI slop, right? Where AI takes one sentence and makes it into a paragraph, but it still communicates what one sentence said. So we can actually ask it to pare this down and make it smaller to compress it. Cool. It's creating a bunch of stuff here, and we can even look at it. We have an index. So this is the MOCs, maps of content. That's what it stands for. Great. I totally forgot. So if I want to use the Zettelkasten method, I know there are different ways of using it, but this is one thing I can do here. I have the knowledge base, how to use this vault. Cool. Does that go into my article? Yeah. There's a how to use this vault meta article. Cool. We can look at the Zettelkasten principles, how it works. It has a node structure. Look at this. We got a mermaid graph over here. Initial node, find connections, create links. This is kind of like loop. So I can read about that if I want to. The tagging system, what the taxonomy is. Fantastic. And yeah, we have the knowledge growth, how it's going to work, and all kinds of cool stuff. It is not using the front matter formatting, so I can actually tell this to do that. I think it's doing a lot of stuff here because it's seeding with those basic notes, and that feels kind of weird. but for the purposes of this demo, I think that makes sense. We have a photography MOC. Looks like it already created all of these notes here. Let me delete that because it's still going through its system and I'm not letting it finish. But it's creating, look at this, exposure triangle markdown file. It's creating all these like demo notes for me. And I didn't even tell it to do that. I just told it, hey, create some seeded with some initial notes. It's doing some basic basic knowledge stuff that you might want to know about, like what the difference is between DSLR, mirrorless, and using a smartphone. You have the focus systems, stuff that maybe not doesn't interest me right now because I told it to use the initial demo notes, but it's yeah, it's pretty useful. So, do you like this setup? Do you not like this setup? If you don't like it, which, I kind of don't like this, some things here, I'm gonna let it finish, and once it finishes through all these different tasks, I'll be able to tell it, hey, utilize front matter. I can ask it to double check on its research of the Zettelkasten method, because I remember that there's the Zettelkasten, what is it, like the evergreen notes, the fleeting notes, the daily notes, all that stuff, and I wanted to use this and use that format. So I'll let it finish up here. Just honestly, I don't feel like waiting for it, but let's try it again. Let's do this. And this is I think this is like the positive part of doing notes this way, that like we can change the structure. I'd like you to research Obsidian Zettelkasten setups and reorganize all of my notes to utilize that structure. Make sure to use Obsidian Markdown front matter for tagging and metadata, and once you're done restructuring and editing files, update Claude.md with the correct prompt directions. So we can do that. And now I'm moving a little bit too fast for it for the video here, but the other thing that we can do here, so it's going to do some research, it'll analyze the current structure, all this cool stuff. We do want those commands, right? We do want to have those commands, but it works the same exact way. Oh, look at this. It's using one of my, I have a research analyst agent that actually works on my entire machine, not just in this repository. So it's utilizing that automatically. I didn't realize it would do that, but it does, and that's cool. And so what we can do is actually do the same thing for our demo vault and say, hey, I'd like you to add Claude commands and agents that would be relevant to this repository. Now, here's a trick. Look at this. So I have some research in my vault about this sub-agents guide. And I remember that there is a community agents examples page. And there are so many different examples here, right? Check the community agents repository for ideas. So let's see how that works. So we have our research analyst is still researching. We have this going on over here. I think I'm gonna actually cut off the video and come back to see how it all ends up. Look at this. So it's doing it is doing that web search for us. It'll read through it and then set up all of this stuff for us. Okay, we'll be back in a sec. Okay, so all of our Claude Code instances are done doing everything that they were doing. Let's go ahead and check out the results. So first, for my existing notes repository, I created the latest feed, notes feed project here. We have, well, I created a lot of these files. So I updated the README, I updated the search setup, all of this stuff. We have 2 new notes on learning Rust and Go. We have the created ad. We have even the tags, quick summary, developer CLI tools and stuff that I was working on, like assembly and language learning for FFmpeg. Some active projects that I'm working on, some archival stuff that I was working on. So we have a lot of stuff here that we worked on, and this is my little RSS feed of all the different changes and all the different research, and this is kind of the way I would be going through it. So I would load this up on my iPad. I would probably scroll through this, maybe look at search setup that I set up, maybe looking at the front matter template that I created, and we then have a getting started with Go, getting started with Rust. The articles this is the article that we created in this video. This was for my first attempt at this video, was getting started with Rust. Great, so we have everything we need here. Let's go look at what our new project looks like. I think we can be done here with this one. So the folder structure looks way different. So what happened? So first we created sub-agents. We have a knowledge architect, research synthesizer, and a vault maintainer. So we have all these different things all these different sub-agents that are made specifically for what we need to do. We have a mermaid diagrammer, a node connector. We have so many different things that we can do here already. And then we have that Claude Code instance that removed all of our notes and made this new structure. So this should look more like a Zettelkasten structure. We have the fleeting notes, literature, permanent notes. We have fleeting notes, nothing there. Literature notes, nothing there. And then we have permanent notes, and this is where what we had previously a notes folder with everything in here, and this is where all of those notes went to. Now we have this great front matter. Now earlier, if you remember, we had the dependencies problem in the front matter on my original repo. We don't have that issue here. We actually have it all connected correctly. We have the aliases even. Great. We have all the knowledge here. Exposure triangle for the photography stuff. We have version control with Git. We have rule of thirds and beyond. Great. We have everything we need. We have MOCs. We have a gardening MOC. If I remember correctly, this is the one that I kind of stopped early so that we could try this out and move everything where it needs to be. So we have all of the MOCs we need here. I can go to my software engineering MOC and have all the different fundamentals and all the different notes that we have here. Some of these are not even created, so I can ask Claude to make sure that any note that's being linked gets created and researched, so we have everything put together. We have active projects, I don't have any, and we have attachments. So this all looks good to me, and this is how we can get started. Now we have the sub-agents. Let's go look at what they actually look like. So we have the hidden folder here. Let's look at a mermaid diagrammer. So it will tell us what the different diagram types are that it supports. These are the domains that we want to research over and diagram. We have the different the visual design principles. We have best practices. Great. So we have that. I don't have any commands. That's fine. I don't need any commands yet. But this is kind of it. It doesn't really go beyond that. If you want to do something special with your system, you can set it up here. You can set up a command. Let's do that as an example. Set up a command to transform, let's see, fleeting notes into permanent notes. Let's make sure that it says Claude command. And it can create that command for us. But yeah, this is essentially it. You can go as deep as you want to. You can redo this entire thing. Maybe you're not using literature notes, so you can just get rid of that folder and tell Claude to do things differently. You can change how the MOCs are registered. You can change anything that you want, and you can just tell Claude to do it, and it will move everything where it needs to be and tag it properly. There we go. It's creating a template for a fleeting note. Oh, for all the notes. Cool. That's actually something I wanted to have anyway. So we have a templates folder now. We have a fleeting note, what that looks like. We have a permanent note, what that looks like. And now it's going to create a specialized agent for transforming those. That's not exactly what I wanted, but I'll be able to just go back and tell it, hey, make sure you create a Claude command, not just an agent. You're a node transformer. That's cool. Oh, now it's going to create a fleeting node to demonstrate the transformation process. So it created a test fleeting nodes. Is that about test-driven development? Yeah, it looks like it is about test-driven development. Yeah, couldn't find the agent, huh? I do have the node transformer. I'm guessing that I need to actually reload Claude for that. So there, I mean, there is a little bit of this debugging, but that's kind of part of being able to have exactly what you want out of it. Okay. And yeah, and at some point soon, this will be converted into a permanent node. So we can wait for it. Oh, there we go. I just saw something change here. Where was it? Test-driven development shapes design. Cool. So it actually did all the research for us. It took that fleeting node, expanded it, explained everything, kind of like that research command that I had earlier, that I had in my own repository. But yeah, this is what you can do with it. This is the power of it. And again, I can go into another Claude Code instance and do some other research, or I can ask it to move things around, connect everything correctly, and it'll be exactly what I want it to have. So that's it for my video. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or any comments, obviously leave them and let me know. But this is what I wanted to show off, kind of the power of having Obsidian for consuming the notes and writing like fleeting notes, or like what I called it, the research inbox notes, then using Claude Code for everything else. It's great because, again, I can change this into a GTD system if I want to go that way, or some other system, and it's fairly straightforward. You just talk to Claude Code and it'll do what you need it to do. Sometimes not perfectly, but that's totally fine, because even if it doesn't do it perfectly, we can iterate on that process. Thank you for watching.